I'm Joe. Nice to meet you all. I have a little helper today. This is my son Noah. He's going to be helping me get everything ready. First of all, it's really hard to do this in this sort of setting. Um, I When I paint, I don't use paint brushes. I use um, materials to kind of scrape paint and kind of push paint around. And it is a lot better if you're doing this on a flat surface. You'll see once we actually start painting that the paint will drop and things like that. And if you're not careful, it can just make a really big mess. So when you when you're doing this kind of swipe painting, it's best to have a lot of paper towels around because there will be a lot of stuff everywhere. A little bit about background about me. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to art. I've just been I took one class when I was in college. It was the Intro to Art. Everyone loved my abstract, so I've just been continuing to do it. I don't know anything about famous artists or the techniques used in art. I just kind of go with the flow and do what my heart and my eyes tell me to do. But this sort of swiping painting, it's pretty popular right now. You go online, there will be tons of videos about it. There'll be tons of other artists who have their own techniques that they do. Um, these techniques are just the ones that I've kind of incorporated into my own art, and it's been going pretty well. I've been able to sell a lot of it, and I'm just going to show you all what I do and how I do it, and give you a basic rundown of what it's like here. And like I said, it's not exactly how I would normally set it up, but it's the best we can do. So why don't I get started? And you all tell me if I get in the way of the canvas or if you can't see it, things like that. I'm going to try my best to show you all. All right, now let's go. So one of the favorite tools of mine is a credit card, an old credit card that's out of date because I find that the plastic works really good for pushing paint around the canvas. Yeah, we have a bunch of other types of tools. We have an old toothbrush that we can use to kind of make some different textures in there. Noah's got just a little stir stick that we can use the side of it to move. And then, excuse me, for my really big paintings, I have this kind of rubber door lining. It's to fill up the whole canvas so we can do kind of one complete swipe. And we'll just start going. And if you guys have any questions about it, just let me know and I can stop and we can talk about it. But I'll kind of show you the beginning, kind of the middle, and an end piece, and just show my processes. So let's see, what colors should we start with? So, quick demonstration. And I just go right out of the bottom of the paint. You can spend extra time mixing it beforehand and applying it onto the canvas, but I'm kind of too impatient. I like to just go at it and then swipe and see what comes out of it. So let me add a couple more layers of stuff. You can see it's dropping all the way down. I don't know if you can see it that well.
Joe, what colors are you using?
Right now I'm using a kind of a turquoise and a silver. Can you see that okay? See that
Yeah.
better? Okay. And I like to blend 2 or 3 colors at a time. So I'm going to add a bunch of yellow. And then I'm going to do kind of I'm going to try and do a close-up swipe so you can all see what we're talking about. Noah, will you do the honors while I hold it? Slow. So the idea is he's blending the colors together while swiping it, but it's not mixing the colors together. So we just want them to kind of run over each other, not get completely mixed up. Because we don't want any deep browns or deep grays to form by actually mixing them all together. And you can do different pressure. If you push really hard and swipe, it'll take a lot of the paint away, just kind of stain the canvas. And if you go really light, you just draw the paint across the canvas like we just did. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to add so this is we have different kind of, I don't know what you'd call it. So these ones are, it says basic, but these are more basic. This is more expensive and it's thicker. And the two, when they're combined together, kind of do some cool tricks, but that. So we'll add some really dark blue with some white. This white is a pain sometimes. And then, how does that look? Can you see? So then when we swipe it, it's going to be kind of pulling all the colors together. The yellow below it, the silver below it, and the blue into it. And the more you can kind of do these kind of overlapping paints and colors, kind of the more play you get when the paints kind of form together, if that makes sense. I got a lot of paint on the card, as you can see, and I can just move it over and use it over here. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but now there's yellow, silver, white, and blue, all sort of mixed in together. And we'll just keep kind of doing this to swipe over the whole thing. And in the meantime, we're trying not to go back and forth too much to mix the colors together. Because once they start mixing and becoming gray or brown, that's what we want to just try and stay away from. But let's see, let's rotate it. I'm going to add some red. Some red.
Okay.
Open it. There's a lot of different sort of color palettes you can find. A lot online of colors that just look really well together. For this thing, you want to do some swiping?
Yeah.
Here, I'll bring it up closer. Right now, we're just kind of having fun and kind of trying to demo our job. Sure. You all see that? See the sort of the effect that's happening. So we'll do this like many times. We'll let it sort of dry, and then add more. The key is really keeping it from mixing together. Right now, we're just pushing the paint over other parts of the paint and pushing with various different strengths onto this. Let me show you what I mean. So over in this area is really heavy paint. And if I push really hard down, drag it, and remove a lot of the paint, so it leaves kind of this stains look, and all the colors and paints that we use underneath it is already stained in there. And then I can use the paint that's left on my card to kind of keep adding in places. And then I can pull harder again. Kind of moving it. It's starting to get a little
Mixed.
dark and mixed on this side, which is okay because we're still just kind of forming the base and kind of just playing with it. But it's just something you want to watch for. It's just a kind of a more muted color. I don't know if you can see that too well. So right now I would probably let this dry. Maybe just kind of move paint around so that it covers the whole canvas. And then, let it sit for a day and then come back to it the next day or whenever and keep adding colors to it. It's a lot of fun. Does anybody have any questions so far?
No, I have none.
Okay. Let me pull up a different one since this is starting to get mixed. This is the one we sort of started for fun while we were waiting. And like I said, this is better to do when it's on a flat surface, so you can pull the paint to you or push it away from you. Looks like there's a question. Kind of paint acrylic? Yes, I use all acrylic paint. I don't use any oils. And another rule that I learned is that you cannot mix acrylic and oil. You have to choose one or the other. And oil is just a lot harder to prep and things like that. With the acrylic, I can just pour it on and then swipe it. And then, just keep going. And it's a lot of fun with the kids. I usually have them help me build the whole base and cover the whole canvas before I start to add the different layers. So I'm going to try and do a bigger swipe to show you the effect. Because it's black. Let's not do black. Do green. So I'm going to lay it flat so that I can get the paint on it and it doesn't run me crazy. Okay. So here I have green all the way at the top. I'm going to mix a second color. I like to do dark and light and dark and light. So I'm going to add some white to it. Then he wants to add some copper. metallic paints are a lot different than normal paint. I don't know if you can see it that well. When you pull it or swipe it, it acts a lot different than the normal paint. So be careful when you're using the metallic type stuff. It does a lot of things, but you got to be careful because it doesn't swipe the same. It gets stuck. So I'm going to try not to cover up the screen. I'm going to show you a larger swipe. The whole thing. And
Wow.
I like to do this sort of a swipe, kind of paper towel. I like to do this sort of swipe after I've got a good base. Paper towel, please. Because as you can see, there's still, I'll give you a close up after I clean this off. There's a lot of paint on it.
Joe, where do you usually get your paints?
I honestly just go to Michael's
Okay.
or any of the craft stores because it's just really convenient. I'm not a believer in going out and getting expensive paint right now. Nobody can really tell the difference, I don't think. Sorry, I made a big mess. So I'm going to bring this one up close so you can see. All right. So as you can see, there's still a lot of canvas showing, which isn't a big deal. But usually I try to cover the whole thing. And when I do those big swipes, there isn't any kind of glaring white canvas left. The other thing I learned too, this is just a side note, is sometimes it's better to paint the edges before you get started. A lot of times it's hard to tape it off and then paint the edges, usually black or something like that. But do you guys have any questions so far?
So would you ever take and swipe like diagonal on something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd also play with like doing it. So as you can see now, turn this way, all of the movement is going across. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's fun. I'm trying not to get paint all over me. To do so sometimes it's fun to do. Let's see if I can see it.
That's big.
Like kind of make one or two, hard to see, kind of lines that just go in the opposite direction to kind of throw off and play with the eye. I'm not doing a very good job right now, but I'm just trying to show you that, yeah, sometimes it is cool to do diagonal type stuff in colors. Looks kind of cool, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about layering it and kind of doing a little bit, stepping back, maybe even hanging it up for a few days and seeing what you think of it. Because somebody told me in an art show once that my paintings have a lot of personality, and they kind of change depending on which way you look at it. So like right now, that diagonal line looks a lot more prominent, but if you keep rotating it, it sort of begins to disappear, and kind of other parts of the painting start to pull out of it. It's just really interesting to see kind of which way you want to orientate it, and then kind of which way the lines you want them to go. You know, where you want the eye to be pulled toward on the painting. I'm going to go. So I'm going to do one more sort of big swipe again over this one, going down this way. And if you guys have any other questions or whatnot, just feel free to chime in. And then we're going to go with the really big painting that I'm almost finished with. Add some touches to that. Okay, what colors should we do, Noah?
I'm thinking maybe a little more red.
A little more red?
Yeah.
Noah's favorite color is red, so he wants that a little more red. I'm going to lay it flat. Another fun thing about this kind of process is you can't really mess it up at first. Just try not to think about it too much. The important part is just getting paint on the canvas, and just start getting kind of an idea for what the paint wants to do. In this style of painting, I don't really feel like I'm in control. I feel like the paint is in control, and I'm just trying to do what it's telling me to do, versus trying to force it to be something, if that makes sense. All right. So I got up here, probably can't see it too well. I got red, yellow, and white all in a line at the top. All right. Hold it like this. Two hands, one on each side. Good job. Sweet.
Hold on one sec.
That looks pretty good. And he took a little bit of paint off, and is showing you. And you can add touches to it if it's too much of one color. You know, you can change any of it, really. Now that we have it covered, you can go back through and do kind of little corrections. If it's too bright up here, you can go in and add a darker color, something with more heat.
That reminds me kind of like a landscape at the bottom with like a sunset or a sunrise in the background. It's really cool. And
a lot of people online, I try to do it sometimes too, but it just doesn't end up the way I think. Yeah. Is that they use blue tape, and they will tape off a certain section, and they will swipe one color below the tape and another above the tape. so that
Yeah.
there's a really defined line going across the canvas.
Yeah.
And it can have some really cool effects, or sometimes they'll put tape all over it. When they pull it out, it'll leave like stars or triangles or something like that.
Cool.
Okay, Noah's wanting to do a big one now. So this one, got it, I got it. This one I'm almost finished with. It's a lot larger, as you can see. And I've done many layers to this. Can you all see that very well? So you can see I did do a tape thing at the bottom just for fun because it's abstract. There are no rules. But the idea is just to keep layering it, letting it dry, and then, like me personally, this area here looks a little too muted yellow to me. So you can go back in and just correct these few areas or keep completely swiping many times with you know, a larger swipe with the door frame. Or
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
So with that, say that picture, would you ever use different textures, like, you know, your round brush or your toothbrush on that to just throw in some extra color?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not just all swipes?
Yes, and I don't have any others to show right now. They're all in businesses and things like that to be sold. But what I like to do first is I don't know if I have it. What I used to do is add like some gesso. Does anybody know what gesso is? It's the stuff that's on the canvas already, but you can buy it in a glob, and basically what I like to do is put it all over the place.
Is it like texture the canvas?
Yeah, and then you can kind of move it into shapes or mounds, or use the toothbrush to make stuff in it. Let that completely dry, and then when you add paint and you do the swiping, it makes a lot of cool effects as it kind of hits those bumps.
Yeah.
Kind of skids across the canvas. This one has no texture on it. It doesn't have any of that stuff. But you can do a lot of really neat effects with texturing and things like that. Like,
do you ever just use your fingers to add little swipes? Like up at the top with the red, it looks like a red. On the left, it looks like a brush stroke or a finger, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, let me bring it up closer. I don't know if you can see it. Try to turn on a lot of lights so you can see it, but yeah, you can definitely add your own fingers. I sometimes smudge in areas with my hand to kind of blend lines that I don't think I want there. And,
Yeah.
Most of the time I just let it go, and then I try to correct.
Yeah.
I make a note of where things that kind of really stand out, and think of ideas of what I could do in those areas.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I don't know what I want to do with this yet. But is there any colors you guys want to see that I could maybe blend or swipe together and show you those effects? I have a lot of different colors that I could show.
Do you usually paint the sides of the canvas black?
Yes, I usually do. Sometimes I'll get gutsy and go with like if this blue that's over here, if it's more blue, more prominent blue, I might do the sides blue also. but that's not very often. Most of the time it's black. It just, the black on the edges makes the colors pop a lot. I think it makes it really beautiful. I wish I could show you. No, can you check my room to see if there's any canvases by the bed?
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to look for one. And then I don't think you can see it. Let me show you. Turn it around. There's a, I don't know if you can see. There was one painting, it was kind of running out, and I just squirted over here and it just made a bunch of splatter. I don't think you can see it too well, but
A little bit, yeah.
there's a lot of different fun things you can do because it's abstract and doesn't matter. No, can you go look for one that's like this? Oh, let's show him. This is Noah's painting. He wants to show everybody. You got the thin canvases. It's fun. It's a fun family. So I'm just going to kind of add some stuff to this. Probably not too much because my family loves this so far. I'm not in love with it, so it's hard to completely feel finished with it. But let's see. Just some. I'm going to add just the paint lightly. I'm not going to do as much as I did on the other one. So we can just do smaller wipes to do just smaller sections. Because I don't want to, for this one, I did go all the way across it several times. But I don't want to do that anymore because it's getting more into the final stage. And if you can do it on a flat surface, do it because it's really hard to do standing up with gravity. Let's see. I want to do yellow. Do turquoise. You got one?
Actually, two.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
This one's traveling station.
So I just wanted to show you a couple other examples. This is the one I did a while ago. I kind of left it because it kind of looks like an American flag. It's hard to see in the camera, but I painted the edges red. It's not perfect, as you can see. It's got a lot of messy spots. Noah's showing another swipe. All right, let's see here. Turquoise. So it's not completely across. I don't know if you can see that too well. There are some gaps in the paint, but that's okay because we'll swipe it. And you know, the idea would be to continuously do this so that it's all covered. But let's just see what happens. A little bit, move it over a little because we still have a lot of paint on here. You'll see that? It's not looking too great right now because it's just sort of the first swipe over dry paint. But we can take like the credit card or some other tool to really remove those if we wanted to. I'll show you. Hold it up so you can push in deep, kind of blend it. The more we do this, the more the paint underneath is going to pop through. It's going to just kind of bring it all together. So you can go little by little, you can go different directions. You can do one whole color over the whole thing. Like I can put white over all of this and swipe it really hard, and the white will show the other colors that are already underneath. And if I don't like it, I can just take a paper towel and rub it, and most of it will come off because it's still wet. Here, let me add I'm going to show you a white swipe that I like to do. Don't ever worry about messing it up. Like, it's all fun. It's you know, one of the few painting quotes I know is some famous artist said something to the effect of like, painting is just destroying something beautiful, which I don't know if that's what that really means, but the idea is just to not think about it, but just to go with the flow. And sure enough, the colors and everything will come out. It'll look great. So this little tool that I have, let me see if I can show you, still has quite a bit of paint on it right here. This is the silver and blue. It was from the last swipe that I did. And I'm going to leave that on there to kind of mix with this white. Let's see what happens. Awesome. So we'll just keep adding color to this, and then I'll use the card to go over it really hard, and everything will come back out into it. So, let's see here. Let's go dark blue. Sorry if I'm kind of going too fast or too slow. I'm not used to having to talk and explain what's in the head while going at it. It's just usually I just have on music and I zone everyone out and it just paints. Just a second while I try to clean this off. Is there a color you all want me to try? To show you.
Green?
Green. Noah's adding red to the side. It's the only favorite color is red. He wants everything to be red. Does anybody have any other questions or things they want me to try the canvas?
I'm good.
You ever move it back and forth on the way down?
Yes. So sometimes like I'll swipe it and have the paint still on the canvas or on the utensil, and then kind of swipe again, and then move it, swipe again,
Oh, yes.
and kind of just throw variations in it instead of just pure swipe straight down. And sometimes I'll even take it and swipe, kind of holding one end and kind of swipe in a circle. To put a little bit of a pattern in it, just depending on what kind of a mood I'm in, you know. Let me show you this close up. I don't think you can see it too well, but see close up, it has a lot of different textures by moving the rubber tool with it. All right. Sorry, I'm making a mess over here.
So your rubber tool is a piece of a door, like the door molding?
Yes, exactly. So this is an 80-inch door molding that you would screw onto the bottom of the door to kind of help seal
Yes, okay.
the bottom of it to let air from coming in. But I like it because this top part is just all rubber all the way across, but it has a little metal thing so that I can hold it and kind of swipe all at once. There's a lot of different things at like Home Depot and stuff like that where you can get this sort of stuff. The first tool I used, and was probably one of my favorites, was a squeegee that you would use on a window. And I liked it because it had a handle, and I could use it a lot easier than this. This I like because there isn't a squeegee that's this big. It makes it a lot easier to cover the whole canvas. But yeah, hardware stores are kind of where I get most of my scraping kind of tools. They have rubber is my favorite kind of component for scraping because it still has a little bit of bend to it. If it's too stiff, it'll literally just pull all the paint off. But rubber has a little bit of, especially if you have a lot of texture, it'll kind of bump over that texture and make some really cool effects. If you have something like metal, you're just scraping it, it looks like you'll just scrape almost right over the top of the texture and stuff like that. Sorry. So after it's kind of not completely dried, but it kind of the paint becomes like a gummy kind of stickiness to it. You can scrape it real hard, and you can begin to pull out all the other colors that were originally beneath it. What's that? Metallic silver.
Yeah.
I'll add some soon. So anyways, it's just playing around until you see something you like. I'd suggest, like I mentioned earlier, using a sort of a color palette. There's a lot of paint color palettes online that'll help you kind of keep within a theme instead of going all over the place. We're going all over the place because we're just having fun and just trying to demo what it's like. Yeah, you can just keep scraping, pulling it out. Sandpaper is a lot of fun too. Once it gets a little more dry, you can sandpaper it and kind of make it all rough looking. You want to do the toothbrush?
Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
You do a toothbrush here and there to kind of throw in just a little more texture, or so nothing looks kind of done on purpose. It'll just look, it just helps just break up the flow of kind of what the normal eye would see. Oh, here's sandpaper.
I got it from the school thing from this first slide.
Do you need it?
We did it.
Oh, okay.
We're supposed to put it in the bag, but what can I say?
You won't be able to see it from there, but it just breaks up the sand. It's hard to see from on a computer camera, but you guys have any other questions or anything else you'd like to see? I can rotate it and then maybe give it one more swipe.
You know, just rotating it gives it such a different look altogether. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of a, like I said, someone told me that my paintings have personality, and you can almost change it every month, you know, turn it on the wall every month and they look just drastically different. Do you guys have a lot of experience with art?
I've done some watercolor. And years, like 40 years ago, easy, I dabbled a little bit in some, but, you know, kids and work got in the way from my creative side.
Yeah, I have to do this at night when everyone's in bed so I can.
Yeah. Noah, how old are you?
8.
Stand around the camera.
Lots of energy. You remind me of my granddaughter.
Yeah, my son is 10.
Oh, nice.
They definitely look like they're up to the same kinds of themes.
Definitely.
Me.
He's a character. So I'm just swiping for fun, just adding extra layers. I'm not concerned about kind of what it looks like at this point.
Very cool.
And so like this line looks kind of stands out to me. So we can kind of trying to see what it looks like. You get the idea. You just kind of go back and forth. You can go different directions. You can keep going the same direction. This one I went the same direction for most of it. And you can kind of begin to see where I put paint here and then swipe, put paint there and swipe. And it just built up and kind of built these kind of cool looking circles. It's nothing I would sell, but it's just kind of interesting to look at what paint can do.
Yeah. You know, as I look at that now, my imagination goes to where you have the white going across as a ship, and then at the bottom where you have the line, it's like the reflection of the water from the top to the bottom.
You see that?
Okay, good. I mean, I look at clouds. I look at clouds and I see things in them all the time.
You can
Imagine.
You can definitely kind of sort of play on people's perceptions. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You can. So I don't know if you can see that. This is just pure copper. So let me clean this up. And then do kind of a running out.
Huh. So I'm a landscape painter, and this seems like a really good way to get started. Because sometimes that's the hardest part of it, is providing the color, the texture, and the just get the substrate started, so it's not just white and flat.
Right. So I'm gonna build that's my basic hill or beach or something, and this is gonna be my kind of my basic sort of water. And what's fun is it all doesn't. What's cool is it just all doesn't matter right now. You know, it's just about getting something on the canvas that you can use. See that? Okay. And then sorry, it was just people think it's a lot of paint being wasted, but I don't see it as being wasted as so much, because it's doing what you want it to do on the canvas. Yeah, there is a lot that I put in the trash, but it's on the canvas and it's doing what it's supposed to. So I'm going to use some. This is a portrait pink. It's kind of a weird, strange color, but I really like it. It's not quite pink, not quite yellow, white. I'm not sure.
Peachy?
Yeah, that's it. It's almost out, but it's. Let's see if I can get a good swipe. There we go. And then a ton of white. Trying to hurry, just so you can get the basic idea. Got a clean off the tool. Swipe. This is going to be a lot of white, but go back through. Being really rough with the canvas right now to kind of scrape a lot of it. And obviously we wouldn't want that much white, but we can blend in here on the horizon almost and give it a better. How's that looking? That's kind of looking cool. So you can see that just the beginnings of something more abstract, but more pronounced, you know, kind of a water area, a land sort of area. And then this area we could show you real quick. Does that kind of make sense? What I'm beginning to set up?
What? You're taking off?
How do you make those fire?
Does everybody kind of see the idea of what I'm beginning to set up as far as a simple landscape? Nothing too amazing or set up yet, but it's the idea of getting the different areas of the canvas set up.
Yeah.
For anything else you want to add to it. I'm going to do one last big swipe. Let's go this way. You'll see that. Move the camera a little. Yeah, I like these big jugs of paint. It's just Artist Loft paint. It was $10 for this whole thing. It's pretty cheap, but I like to just throw paint on, so I don't want to buy expensive stuff. Yeah.
How do you make the resist?
I don't know, buddy. And I still have a lot of white on my strip here, so I'm going to add it with the yellow at the top. Let's see how it looks. Cool. And yeah. It's just fun. It's just messing around. Now we got some So that's I think our time is up. Does anybody have any questions, things they want to see? No?
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah,